Hello, carbon credits, carbon trading, emissions trading, carbon offsets. You've probably heard all the terms flying around and the buzz, so what's it all about in plain terms? Well, that's what I'm going to explain to you today. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer on the need to cut greenhouse gas emissions, the fact remains that scientists around the world continue with their warnings, and more importantly, governments have taken their views on board and are continuing to introduce legislation to help the world stop polluting the atmosphere in order to save the planet from possibly dire consequences. So whether you're in or out on whether it's justified, it's not your call, it's just happening. But whichever camp you're in, you've got a great opportunity to make money and save the planet if it's your thing. We've all heard of global warming. The Earth's temperature has increased, sea levels have risen, ice caps have melted, and extreme weather conditions have been recorded for the past few decades. Again, whether you think it's because too many greenhouse gas emissions have been released into the atmosphere and that the problem is due mainly to human activity, or whether you think it's part of the Earth's natural varying cycle, think Ice Age, measures are being introduced to try to slow and possibly reverse the process. So, what are carbon credits? Because saving and making money is more important to most of us than actually saving the planet, a global market-based approach has been introduced to reduce emissions. So a carbon credit is basically the financial instrument that represents 1 metric tonne of greenhouse gas that has been prevented from being released into the atmosphere. These credits, rather like that of a stock certificate, are generated by any entity that has been officially recognised as having produced the technology to reduce, store or avoid this measurable amount of pollution from being emitted. So projects like wind farms, solar energy, reforestation, recycling, etc. are all good examples. So why should you be excited about this and how can you make money out of it? The answer's simple. There's a good snapshot on the screen at the moment showing different examples of carbon credit trading, but the basic principle is this. Some entities produce more pollution than they are permitted and have to purchase carbon credits to offset them in order to comply. Others produce less and can trade the credits from the emissions that they have stopped producing to any entity that needs to purchase credits to comply. There are basically two markets, the compliance market, which was born out of the Kyoto Protocol, and the voluntary market, which operates outside of this regime. The voluntary market is really the one you should get excited about in particular, and here are a few reasons why. In Europe, there's already an emissions trading scheme, the EU ETS, which started in 2005 in compliance with Kyoto, but a similar system is still a work in progress in America, which is of course one of the world's largest polluters. Since Obama started his presidency, he has made it clear on many occasions that tackling climate change is very much at the top of his agenda, since he has pledged that the US will collectively reduce its emissions by 25% of the levels in 2005 by the year 2020 and a staggering 83% by the year 2050. He's going to have to put a price on carbon to incentivise the biggest polluters, which will significantly broaden the already booming marketplace. Australia already have a programme of their own, and China has recently announced the launch of its own cap and trade scheme, which will kick off in 2012, increasing the pressure on America even more. General opinion is not if this system will be introduced in the US, but rather when. So, why is it such a good time to get involved in this market? In addition to what I've previously pointed out about America, the Kyoto Protocol failed to be extended beyond 2012 at last year's Copenhagen meeting. This could mean that the compliance credits may no longer exist, and carbon trading platforms have already noted a significant rush to purchase more voluntary credits to mitigate this possibility. But apart from all that, here's what some experts are saying. The New York Times. Carbon trading is one of the fastest growing specialities in financial services. Lewis Redshaw of Barclays Capital said, "Carbon will be the world's biggest commodity market, and it could become the world's biggest market overall." The CFCT Commissioner said, "Carbon trading may dwarf that of crude oil within 5 years, worth $2 trillion. President Barack Obama, "There's no better potential driver that pervades all aspects of our economy than a new energy economy. That's going to be my #1 priority." Fortune said, quoted, "JP Morgan isn't alone. All the big global investment banks, including Barclays, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch, are hurrying into carbon finance." Head of emissions trading at Merrill Lynch in London said, "Carbon could become one of the fastest growing markets ever, with volumes comparable to credit derivatives inside of a decade." Barclays PLC, "United Nations carbon credit prices may rise as much as 42% by 2012. That was stated in October 2010.